Alright people, in the last video I showed you this vintage ukulele and told you that it had a crack all the way, let's see, from this edge here up through the headstock, and it's split sort of like in a V shape that way. And it wasn't a very clean break, but I managed to get it to glue flush with clamps going that way and that way. I managed to glue it back square. You can't make that crack go away because it's been apart probably for years. But we've disguised it with a little bit of marker and polish to where it's not glaring, particularly on the back side. The rest of the ukulele is in very nice shape, just needed a really good clean and polish, and some new strings, of course. But I'm using this basically as a video to say that even when you have repair skills or luthier skills, you don't always work on instruments that are desirable. Sometimes you just put it back together, or you should put instruments back together for learners to learn on. And here's just a few ukuleles here that I've put together for that purpose. These are not things I would buy, because I found them and I could put them back together, I did. Here is a Red Star purple soprano per Red Star. Have no idea where those come from. What, Belgrade maybe? Red Star Belgrade? I don't know. It just says Red Star in the sticker. It doesn't have a origin or any other information. Rosewood board. It is wood. It's not plastic. It's probably very, very plain wood. It's got a gift aid sticker on the back. Probably went through charity shops here. And yeah, it's just a purple painted ukulele that deserved to be put together so it can, so some kid can learn on it. Nothing wrong with it. There you go. It was nicked up, and I used a purple Sharpie just to take your eye off the bare wood spot. So from a distance, you can't tell. It looks good. If you were to get really close up, you might see the edges there where it's a bit more glaring. But from 2 feet away, looks perfect. This thing was really scratched and nicked up. So I just, those of you who work on instruments know Sharpie markers are the quick fix for really cheap instruments. I wouldn't do it on a Martin or a Taylor or anything like that, but for a 5, 6, 7, 8 pound uke, I think it's fine. Similarly on this one, which is a sort of a more lilac-y purple ukulele, the color didn't quite match, but at least you don't have the open wood there. So just a little bit of Sharpie to cover up, and you know, cover up the bare wood, and then a little bit of lacquer on top just to close that. This is an even cheaper ukulele. This is made by Mahalo, and I may have had these on my channel before in the past, because these are pretty ubiquitous in the States as well. The Red Star one, not so much, but this one I've seen Mahalo's, and you can see that there's the dolphin tuners there on the back, so it's probably a dolphin series or something. Yeah, again, just a painted wood, very plain, probably maple or something, very plain. This time what looks to be a dyed black fretboard, so it's probably even cheaper wood than the other one underneath, but with some new Aquila strings in tune. So, you know, this is just a video to say that when you come across cheap instruments that can play if you repair them, it's worth it to, obviously you're not going to sink lots of money, but if it's just a case of gluing them back together and setting them up with strings, maybe finding some new tuners, putting them together, you know, some kid can learn on that rather than throwing it in the skip or the landfill So this is just a few ukuleles that I found for virtually nothing, that have been in a state of disrepair probably for years. Two purple ones and a nice natural wood one. And you know, a lot of people won't bother with these because, you know, you develop a certain snobbery sometimes when you work on instruments. But for me, if it doesn't cost me much just to glue them back together, put some strings on, put some tuners on, maybe a new bridge or something, you know, a prefab bridge, not carving another one, it's not worth it. And getting them put back together, and then, you know, you can give them away to neighbor kids or, you know, people in your family, donate them, whatever, to school or whatever, rather than having it go to a landfill. So this video is about, you know, the opportunity to practice your skills on cheap instruments, get them working again. I realize that this doesn't work every single time. There are instruments that you find in a state of disrepair that you can't put back together, or it's beyond your skill level. But a lot of them you can. A lot of them, especially the ukuleles, don't take a whole lot to get them back together. I did have to do some filing on the fret ends of these because they've been sitting for so long. The frets were a bit rusty, so I used a steel wool and a fret file to clean these ends up, put a bevel back on it. I probably spent maybe 20 minutes per uke in terms of setup, and then maybe another 15-20 minutes gluing them up and putting them in clamps. So what's that, half hour, 45 minutes to get something that works and that's playable. Not my style of ukulele, but you know, somebody will enjoy these. A couple of soprano ukuleles, one from Red Star, one from Mahalo, once in pieces and scratched up to buggery, and now completely perfectly fine usable ukes with good Aquila strings that somebody can play. So don't be a snob, you know, fix up the high-end stuff, but also remember the kids, and if an instrument can be salvaged, on principle, try and salvage it so that it can be reused and not scrapped. All right, folks, if I get more of these types of things, I'll show them to you if it's not repeat videos. You know, I've done a lot of ukuleles over the years, so I wanted to make sure that this was something new. I've had purple ones, pink ones, rainbow ones, cartoon ones, you name it. Ukuleles come in all shapes, colors, and sizes, don't they? So there's always something going on in terms of variation. But you know, these are pretty standard shaped ukuleles, both sopranos, both made of wood, not plastic, and they both have wood fretboards, although this is a proper rosewood one and this is a sort of painted cheap wood one as well. But they function, they work fine, they sound okay. All right, folks, see you on the next one. Find some more ukes to fix up. All right, see you next time.